So I hope you enjoyed the pop-up course that we had on Mitch Horowitz's book, One Simple Idea. I'll put a link above if you haven't watched the course yet to the entire playlist. We covered a lot of really important points there. And Mitch's book, One Simple Idea, I liked it when I first read it years ago, but I hadn't looked at it in years until recently. And it's an entirely different book, in my opinion, once you're very familiar with these law of attraction, law of assumption ideas and some of the main teachers. If you read the book and you're new to this stuff, you're going to get a benefit out of it. But if you're very familiar with this stuff and you've been into it for years, you're probably going to get even a greater benefit out of what Mitch is talking about in One Simple Idea. And again, one reason it's so vital, in my opinion, to read that book is because it really gives you kind of the historical context to put this manifesting stuff in. Because, again, these positive thinking, law of attraction, law of assumption, whatever we want to call them, ideas they're not new. They're a fabric of, they're interwoven into American history since the mid-19th century. And Mitch makes this abundantly clear in One Simple Idea. So, yeah, I just think people should look at that book if they have not. And, yeah, along similar lines today, I want to discuss something that also comes, I think, with just being into these ideas for a long time, as opposed to when you first get into them. I remember, I recently was looking at the short guide I did, I think back in 2016, called the Relaxation Manifesto. I'll put a link below. You can download it for free, and if you click the link in the description. The Relaxation Manifesto is still one of the more succinct things I've ever written, one of the better things, in my opinion, that I've ever shared in regards to implementing these manifesting ideas, effectively in your life. But at the very beginning of that guide, I say something like, manifesting, in my opinion, should always be, like easy and stress-free, and the context in which I said that in, the broader context made sense. It was like colloquial and basically saying what I always talk about how you don't want to try too hard to manifest something externally, because in all likelihood it will not manifest in the way you want or manifest at all, right? That was the broader point. So I don't regret writing that in that short guide. And again, I stand by what I wrote in that guide for the most part, for sure. But I would never use language like that today. Having now been into these ideas for much longer, trying to implement them in my own life for much longer, and working with people who have been into these ideas for not just a short period of time, but often for a long period of time. Veteran manifestors, if you want to use that term. This stuff, if you start to really work it into your life and integrate it into your life, you realize it's not going to be easy a lot of the time. It should, hypothetically, be fun and easy. I think that's the term I use. It should be fun and easy, right? And you hear language like this all the time, and it makes sense, especially if you're a beginner to this advice, to try to make things you want in your life to externally change by making it fun and easy to try to change them, to experiment, to be playful. We hear language and advice like this all the time. Like, be playful with these ideas. Don't take them that seriously. Make it fun and easy for yourself. Or another good one is like, if you imagine that you're on a vacation, or a permanent vacation. What would it be like if you were always on vacation? It would be fun and easy. What would your dream life be if it felt like it was always a vacation and you didn't have to have a real life, right? that kind of like breeziness and relaxed vibe towards implementing these ideas can be a very helpful approach, particularly at first when we're getting used to them. And we really are while we are trying to change inwardly, we're also trying to experiment with, like, if I change inwardly, will something change externally, right? Making that fun and easy to experiment with is great. And I think that's why I wrote that back in the Relaxation Manifesto, and why a lot of people give advice like that. They say, keep it fun, keep it playful, keep it easy. Make it feel like you're just on vacation or whatever, that kind of vibe, like loose. But the truth is, when you get more into these ideas and you start living by them more and more, if you stick with them, you basically are going to realize this stuff is not easy to implement a lot of the time. And it's not fun. It's not fun and easy, even though it should be hypothetically in a theoretical world. And I get, again, why we say it should be fun and easy. But when you're dealing with major life issues, health issues, relationship issues, financial issues, things that, even though they might not be life or death, and sometimes are life or death, seem like life or death situations or drastic situations, to keep it fun and easy is obviously very hard, right? And even when we're dealing with situations that just stress us out, that are not life or death situations, but just stress us out continually, keeping it, light and easy and fun is difficult. And I talk about that in the Relaxation Manifesto. But I believe it even more so now. The paradox is, it should be hypothetically simple to relax more and to feel more inwardly relaxed as we go through our day. But what so often happens is we discover it's not. When we're stressed by significant health issues or relationship issues or financial issues or any other big issue in your life, job issues, living situations, big stuff. And that's when it gets interesting. That's when it's like, well, are we going to actually work with these ideas, with these principles, in the midst of this stress, in the midst of not easily being able to feel relaxed inwardly? Or are we just going to forget this whole thing and go about living our life like this stuff isn't real? And a lot of people, as we've been discussing recently, and we were discussing in the course, just forget it. They say, yeah, forget this stuff's bullshit, or it might work some, but I don't understand it enough, so I'm moving on, for the most part. And then there are people, which I would say the minority of people, who get into these manifesting concepts, these practical spiritual concepts, and decide to ride with them, even though they are not easy or fun when you're trying to resolve serious issues in your life a lot of the time. Because listen, if you're able to keep something easy and fun and lighthearted and are relaxed about it and are able to laugh at it most of the time, most of your work in regards to these manifesting ideas is done. Because what keeps us stuck usually is the stress and emotional, I guess you could say, resistance we have towards the subject that's bothering us, that we want to see resolved. Our health, in all likelihood, will in some way improve if we're not constantly focused on how bad our health currently is, or our relationship currently is, or our financial situation currently is. It will somehow change and in all likelihood positively improve in some way if we are able to keep lighthearted about it and kind of laugh at it and not be as serious about it and be expectant, because we know about these principles, expectant of it changing positively, for it to be getting better and better every day. Even if it's just a small change, for that change gradually over time to become significant and to improve. But it's not easy for most of us to actually do this a lot of the time, for the tough stuff in our life. It's not easy to just flip a switch and have a health situation that's bothered you for weeks, months, or years to suddenly become lighthearted about it. Or relationship issues or money issues, to just all of a sudden flip that switch. And sometimes you can. And often, like, what a good manifesting type of teacher will do is show you a technique or explain something, articulate something in a certain way where it flips a switch for you. And that's when you will see, quote unquote, miracles sometimes, or shocking demonstrations really quickly, because the switch was flipped and that was enough. But often it's not just having the switch flipped once, or it's not something, certainly it's not something you can predict when that switch is going to be flipped. So what we have to do is recognize if we're dealing with major issues that we want to resolve by integrating some of these manifesting principles more consciously, more intentionally in our lives. We have to recognize that it's a process, and one where we have to be gentle with ourselves. And I think a lot of what we're trying to do is normalize the situation to improve it. By that I mean a situation that bothers us. Again, whatever it is, health, relationships, finances, your job, your living situation, whatever, any of these big things, right? A situation that bothers us. We've normalized the stress about that situation. If we can somehow figure out a way to normalize a sense of positive expectancy and ease about the situation, about it positively improving and transforming, getting better and better. If we can normalize that, well, then the change will start to happen effectively in all likelihood. But we've normalized the stress, the anxiety, the dissatisfaction, the lack of positive transformation. And we have to turn that around and start normalizing, yes, this is changing. Yes, this is getting better. Yes, I'm beginning to see confirmation that this is, has turned the corner. Even if things externally aren't different, I have the inner confirmation, the inner sense of ease that this is actually shifting that I now want. And that inner sense of ease, again, bringing this full circle, that inner sense of ease, we are able to access that inner sense of ease often by relaxing more. Often relaxing into the stress or fear, as we've talked about, and allowing it to be there so we can actually relax into it and somehow normalize feeling okay, and perhaps even at ease, even with those passing feelings of things not being okay being there, realizing that there's a depth beyond that we can access where things are okay, and using that, because it's already there, using that as a way to pivot from feeling stressed about the situation to okay about the situation and expectant of it changing for the better. I'll put a link above to that recent workshop we did about, working with resistance and moving, making resistance our friend, normalizing the resistance and becoming friendly with it so we can move through it and see it as an ally as opposed to an adversary. This is the kind of information, that we just don't hear a lot, especially on social media. So this is the real stuff. This is the stuff I work with in my own life. Normalizing the good, not the bad. This is what I try to work with clients on, is like, how can I help facilitate for you feeling okay right now, and seeing the situation as one that is workable, improvable, and going to change positively. This is the work. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to contact me at radicalcounselor.com. I'm also offering free brief consultations if you think I can be a help, as well as coaching. And until next time, be well.